Good morning, YouTube. I'm Rowan. I'm just rowing along here. Welcome to my brand new channel where I ramble about everything I feel like rambling about and give my takes on all the drama and current events and inflammatory nonsense I know you all love to hear. And I'm not even going to try to be coy. A big reason I'm doing this is to showcase my art, which you can see me line out as I speak. Because a man has to eat, and getting noticed to earn some commission money can be pretty tough. That being said, my opinions and takes are always genuinely mine, and you won't catch me saying something just to appeal to a narrative or because it's what the audience wants to hear. So, as you can see, well, maybe, my sketches are pretty rough, so maybe you can't see. But as you can potentially see, today I'm drawing the iconic, the graceful, the infamously flatulent Chantal, aka Foodie Beauty. And right beside her is James Pizza Pete's Peterson, an ally to women and furry kind all over the globe. No shade to either of them because this video is honestly barely even about them. I'm just doing a little light ribbing because as much as shit people give these two, I know they can handle some light ribbing. The crux of our video and my rant today is actually right there. Right there in the upper corner. Can you see it? A big, ominous, pig-tailed moon? Who could that possibly be? Well, obviously from the title, it's our French fried Gorl, but you know, just let me have my fun. So, first of all, this is probably old news by the time I upload this, but that's also kind of why I'm making this video. Because everyone's already talked about this, but what I have to say isn't really about FFG, and it isn't really about Chantal. It's about the commentary and narrative surrounding the two from the so-called hater community, or hater nation, which I've honestly been kind of disappointed in lately, you know, in regards to this whole topic, but we'll get to that. Before we do get to that, I should probably explain my personal thoughts and criticism on FFG. Now, I'm going to preface this by saying that if anyone watches this video, I fully expect them to hate on me, dislike it, think I'm an idiot, call me a simp, the whole 9 yards. But I'm still going to post it, because it's my opinion and I want to add to a conversation that I genuinely feel is pretty one-sided at the moment. See, in my opinion, FFG and Chantal are actually a lot alike. You know why? Because they both love telling stories. Stories that, you know, are based largely in fiction or very exaggerated real events. The difference is when Chantal tells her stories, she's called out, but when FFG tells her stories, the audience eats it up like it's fact. Basically, I think FFG goes too far. It's one thing to speculate and to present your thoughts as speculation. It's a total other thing to present yourself as if you're the exclusive high-tier gossip rag with the inside scoop that nobody has, which is exactly what FFG does. And I honestly think that's crossing a line. I think it's crossing a line to claim you have insider, real-life knowledge about people and to spread totally baseless rumors and ideas about them that the audience just accepts because of your insistence that you have that inside knowledge. I think FFG and Chantal are two sides of the same coin with one big difference, which is that Chantal, for the most part, makes up stories about herself. And sure, she does involve people around her, and she probably shouldn't do that. Like talking about her family, or making up all these eccentric characters to liven up her stories. But overall, those are still aspects of her own life she's exaggerating and putting on blast. FFG, on the other hand, makes up stories about people she's never met and who impact her life in no way whatsoever for the sake of growing her platform off of theirs. And I'm sorry, but I just think that's wrong. I think it's toxic, I think it's dishonest and skeevy, and that is crossing a line. I honestly believe the majority of her fan base are middle-aged women who, if they weren't pearl-clutching and hangering over Chantal, would be reading actual gossip rags about what celebrity is dating who, or what crazy diet some TV actor is on. This is just the 2021 version of sticking your nose way more into someone's business than is necessary or decent. And if you disagree with me, that's totally cool, but this is how I feel about it. So, in summary, FFG gets way too close to the subject she talks about and makes up a whole lot of shit for views. I don't think that's cool, and I'm pretty disappointed there's such a lack of criticism and accountability in regards to her content. Which brings me to my main issue here. The way other reaction channels are acting towards the conflict between FFG and Chantal. Reaction channels who honestly I really like. I like them as their YouTube personas, I like their content. I think they're all funny and charming and knowledgeable and talented in their own ways. But then, I think that's exactly why their responses to FFG have come across so starkly biased and contradictory to me. Because I expect these people to be more critically minded than that, to be smarter than that. The only reaction channel I've seen criticize FFG has been The Gaining Ground, so shout out to him. Definitely one of my favorite commentary folk, because at the end of the day, he's just having fun, sharing a laugh, offering some constructive criticism, and going back to his real life. Oh, and before I go on, actually, I take that back because I know Yaba has also criticized FFG, so shout out to you, girl. I don't like her humor much personally because it's very high energy and I'm a very low energy person, but I definitely respect her a lot for speaking out against FFG's behavior. Now, I'm not going to name the reaction channels I'm criticizing because I'm not here to stir the pot, not really. But if you're watching this and you think, oh crap, that sounds like what I was doing, or oh crap, that sounds like a creator I was watching, then it probably includes you/them. But before I move on to the actual criticism I have of these channels, I want to say that I know Chantal shouldn't have released FFG's phone number. I know that was bad. I'm not dumb. Well, not that dumb. But at the same time, I gotta ask, what do you people expect when more than anyone else on this platform, FFG has inserted herself into Chantal's life in really invasive and inappropriate ways? She definitely doesn't respect Chantal or Nader's privacy, and to an extent, I get it, because Chantal doesn't respect her own privacy. But just because someone has a compulsion to keep punching themselves in the face doesn't give me the right to also punch them in the face. And again, Chantal doesn't have the right to release FFG's phone number either. All I'm trying to say is that the situation is a lot more complicated and nuanced on both sides than people want to admit. In any case, it was probably an accident, but that's besides the point right now. My point is just that if you're gonna touch the poop, you gotta expect to get a little smelly. And honestly, I think FFG does realize that. It's the reaction channels rushing to her defense that don't seem to realize it. Cause I see everyone siding with FFG automatically, and I don't get why. Actually, scratch that, I do get why. And it made me come to a realization that really disillusioned me on this whole community. Because I always thought people were critical and reasonable, and that they'd keep the same energy regardless of who they're criticizing. But this whole thing pretty much proved that as long as someone talks about Chantal, you guys are gonna stand them regardless of their own flaws without ever acknowledging their own mistakes. A lot of the creators I'm seeing talk on this situation haven't even watched FFG's videos, and they even open up their statements saying, well, I don't watch her videos, but what, bestie? If you haven't watched them, you don't really have the whole story, do you? You're just defending her to defend her, because she reacts to Chantal, and you react to Chantal. So there's this weird hive mind bias going on. Hence, Chantal is getting all this added shit from the community, while FFG isn't even lightly criticized on her own shit stirring, and I just don't think that's right. For example, I'm seeing basically everyone jump on the oh my god, Chantal docs FFG train, but like I said, the majority of them confess they don't even watch FFG. Then they move on to some really harsh criticism or outright insults that don't have anything to do with the doxing. I've honestly seen some vile and gross things said about Chantal lately, in defense of FFG, from people I really expected better from people who don't usually express themselves in that way. Things that aren't just criticism, or commentary, or funny jokes, but that honestly cross the line into vindictive bullying. Like, I've never been on YouTube and thought, oh wow, you're actually just bullying that fat chick though, until this occurred, and suddenly a handful of creators became very antagonistic, basically telling Chantal in really horrible words that they hope she has an awful life, or that she's going to have an awful life because she's an awful person, and just really going over the limit, man. I could easily find one of these videos to give you an exact quote, but I don't really want to, because I think my brain blocked them out for a reason, and I'm going to just make the conscious decision to keep that stuff blocked out. So, with all that said, I guess my main points are, number 1. Most of you discussing this Chantal versus FFG drama only have half the story, because you don't care about seeing Chantal's side, ever, even when she might be a teensy bit justified in her dislike of someone. I mean, it's not like people are still complex human beings who might have justified emotions towards situations every now and then, right? And honestly, even if you guys did watch FFG's videos, I feel like you'd make up excuses for why they're okay, and that honestly just bums me out. Number 2. Some of you are using this as an excuse to be way meaner than necessary. I think you'll need to take a page out of the Gaining Grounds book and try to remember this isn't your life. Chantal doesn't actually impact your day-to-day at all unless you let her. These same people attacking Chantal and acting personally offended and quote-unquote triggered by her content will in the same breath claim it doesn't affect them because they have their own lives and blah blah blah. I mean, if you have your own life and you're so triggered and bothered, why don't you just stop watching? No one's strapping you into a chair and forcing you to watch a fat lady mainline Coca-Cola and drink gallons of CBD. You're doing that to yourself. You're triggering your damn selves. Go outside and touch some grass if it's so bad. Number 3. FFG is no saint. I'd argue she deserves a whole lot of criticism that she isn't getting because she's an audience favorite and because people just don't want to criticize their own. I think there's a lot of spinelessness and bias going on, and I'm not here for it. This whole thing has genuinely kind of ruined the fun of watching some of these reaction channels for me, if I'm being honest. I was trying to watch some earlier because it's something I often do while working out, or cleaning, or drawing, and I just wasn't feeling it anymore. The kind of behavior I used to find funny or witty just comes across as snide and self-congratulatory now. And I'm seeing more and more how people needlessly nitpick for the sake of being able to pause the video and have something to say. So it's not just them sitting there and watching a video, and I guess I'm just over it. And finally, I want to touch on my earlier point again. I watch reaction channels and follow Chantel because it's entertaining in a trashy reality TV kind of way. I'll watch her fabricate wild tales while eating kilos of Burger King. I'll watch her abuse substances and run around the house escaping imagined invaders. I'll watch her nodding off on camera and shrieking to Pete's for M&Ms at 4 in the morning. And I watch commentary channels because their criticism is entertaining. Because something being entertainment doesn't mean you can't criticize it, and because dismantling content and exploring human behavior is interesting to me. Also, some commentary channels are just funny and charismatic people, so I'll watch for that too. What I wouldn't do is continue watching something that acts as a psychological trigger for me, then blame the content itself for triggering me. No one is forcing me to watch them. The narrative of, oh, Chantal is a bad person because her content could trigger survivors, or ex-addicts, or blah blah blah, is ridiculous. People are in control of the content they interact with. You're in control of the content you interact with. It's not actually Chantal's job to cater to your sensitivities specifically. And it's not like I don't have criticism on Chantel or how she lives her life. Of course I do. I'm a judgmental as heck person, so I have criticism on everything. Hence why I started this channel. But right now, YouTube doesn't need yet another person criticizing an overweight, addict-prone lady. It's honestly getting kind of ridiculous. The market is super oversaturated. And at the end of the day, none of us are her friends or family, none of us are personally harmed by her behavior, and we should all be more concerned about what's going on in our own lives than getting actually angry and actually upset over what she's doing with hers. And what barely anyone is saying right now is how these critics are themselves very deserving of criticism in how they handle Chantel and how they handle their community. So this is the video I decided needed to be made. If you liked it, like it. If you don't, well then don't. That's cool. Leave a dislike or whatever respectful input you might have below. Also, if you liked this art, check out my Ko-Fi in the description to see more of it, commission some of your own, or just to donate if you're feeling super generous. Oh, and before I go, if you're wondering what the heck is going on with my FFG over here, like I said, she's meant to be a moon, kind of inspired by the Majora's Mask moon, if you know what that is. I don't know, I just thought it was funny. Maybe it's not, but it still makes me laugh, which is what really matters at the end of the day. So, this has been Rowan, and I'm just gonna row on out of here.